Everyone's making the same mistakes. I don't understand it. I have solutions all over the place. You don't need to make the backyard mistakes that everybody else is making. Watch this video. You will have the solutions without the mistakes. Be creative. Get creative in your backyard. Turn a problem into a solution. That's the best backyard you can have. Sometimes you just take that problem and you find a solution and it's beautiful. All right, the biggest problem that you're probably having, and the number one thing I want to talk about, is when you look and you find your perfect backyard, because they're all over the internet, right? You find it and you're like, this is what I want. But then you take that and you try to go outside and you're like, oh, here we go. And you find a problem because that picture is not exactly the way your backyard is laid out. And you find one little problem. Maybe it's elevation, we're gonna talk about. Maybe it's you don't have the size of your yard, we're gonna talk about that. And now, because of that problem, you say, I can't do it, and you give up, and now you don't have a backyard. We're gonna show you how to marry that to your backyard where it's going to be the best. It's gonna be better than that inspiration because it's gonna be unique to your property.
And away we go!
So take a look at the problem that this homeowner had. It's a major problem. They had a very sloped driveway and they had no front entrance to their front door. So you basically had to walk up the driveway. It's a hike up that driveway. If there was ever snow, ever ice, it was an impossible driveway to maneuver around for vehicles and for pedestrians. So look at what we did with this solution. We created a very nice eye-appealing front entrance from the street, and all of a sudden you just walk up a couple of stairs and then it's kind of straight up to that front door. Of course it's a hike, but you're walking up, it's very safe.
The aspects of the project that we really wanted was certainly more parking, a pathway to the front door, stairs, in an icy situation. All we had, in the existing layout was up the driveway, walking up the driveway. We wanted to make it safer for our guests and whatnot to come and visit us. And then
my only requirement was that it looked nice.
Yeah, I'm thinking safety. The way it looked before, it was
wild.
It was certainly wild, but we had very large junipers that shielded a lot of the house, and it was okay for privacy, but it was not pretty. That's an interesting question. What do our neighbors say? We live on a really nice street, but it's odd to see how many people walk by and look at our property after day and night.
You can see them pause
and they look up.
Take it all in. It's a good feeling.
It is a good feeling. We certainly didn't get anybody walking by looking at our property before.
And you have a beautiful, aesthetically pleasing solution that you can actually use for your front entrance. So look at this problem that we had at this job. Tiny little narrow backyard and then a huge slope up to the back fence. So they have a large backyard, but kind of unusable. But look at what we did here. We added a freestanding structure, we added a double-sided fireplace, we added an outdoor kitchen, we added the hot tub, and lots of different areas for people to hang out in this narrow strip. But look at how much we got in there with good creativity and good design. So a lot of people would have got very discouraged as they looked outside and they saw pretty much just a sloped backyard, and they think there's nothing I can do. But there is so much you can do. Look at this property. So this is strip landscaping we did here, basically a bowling alley on that lower tier. We had to do everything in a very narrow strip of backyard, but we did it. We also put the synthetic lawn on the other side of that double-sided fireplace. We also did the dog run. We did the steps up. I guess I'm just trying to say is we took all of the negatives and we turned it into positives, and you can do the same for your backyard. But with good problem-solving techniques, we were able to get this homeowner everything they wanted. All of these items that I just mentioned were able to be put in there because we solved that problem and we gave them everything they needed. Now take a look at this property. We had the problem with slope, but they had a slope that was parallel to the back of their yard. So they had a high side and a low side all the way down to their pool. Well, we got the homeowner what they wanted. We gave them a beautiful outdoor kitchen with a bar, but we also added a destination covered structure with a fireplace, awesome outdoor TV with so many heaters that he could watch the game any time of year. And then we used that slope that we had on the higher side. We put a seat wall behind that to handle that slope or that elevation down to that fire pit. So we took all the items that they wanted and we were able to get everything they wanted in there. We had to get creative with the solutions, but look at this finish that we came up with. I think you'll agree that it's beautiful. And one of my favorite problem backyards that we turned into such an amazing backyard is this one. The homeowner, it basically was straight down a cliff. And look at what we created here. We gave them everything you can imagine with a deck, a covered deck, a fire pit destination, a pergola destination, being wall down to a whole play area. We have kids zone on the top as well. This area had it all in really unusable space. We also added a really cool water feature that attracts wildlife. So it's just amazing what you could do. Couldn't do this without a good design though. I just want to keep plugging that. Always just need a design and you'll have everything be okay.
Ready, set, go!
The mistake you're making is not getting the design from the very start. In knowing the flow and knowing the principles behind good backyard design, that has to be your first thought. It has to. I don't care that you hire me to do a design, but a design is so important. Somebody that knows about design has to help you. If you don't know about it, then get somebody that knows. Backyard designer knows everything about backyard design. They've gone to school for it. They know how to connect it with nature. Without hiring a designer, you are going to make mistakes, and I don't want that for you. It's a waste of money, and it's not going to be your backyard life that you really can have. Another very common problem is you have a very small backyard. In fact, not even a small backyard, but very shallow, like very little depth to your backyard. So you walk out and it's like this long bowling alley, and what are you gonna do in this space? This is what the solution that we came up with this one. We gave them a beautiful destination structure. Now you think, how can you possibly do that in a small depth of field with a backyard? But that actually makes the space larger. Now the beautiful thing that we were able to do, because we enlarged this area, is you can have that whole bar area with the nice outdoor kitchen. That's a whole nother destination. A little bit to the right, you have a whole nother destination where people are gonna be hanging out at the golf green. So the guys will be out there playing, the girls will be out watching, the kids will be out there, and now everybody is hanging out in one expanded area, all because you got creative with your small depth of field backyard. Take a look at this small backyard with very shallow depth, but look at what we were able to create. A beautiful fireplace kind of was that main destination that pulled you out further. And then we have a whole seat wall at the back of that area as well. Planting on the back side for privacy, but really that fireplace is gonna draw you out there and it's gonna expand that space even further. But in this situation, we did that nice pergola with a polycarbonate roof. Look at how nice that looks. And then we did a nice hot tub destination. This was a built-in hot tub that we put in here. It's just going to be attractive, and you will be out there using that space all seasons. So that hot tub is a nice destination. People will be sitting in the hot tub, and people will be at the fireplace, and people will be underneath that cover. So again, you have that one kind of focal area that pulls you out and is at the border of the property and expands the space. And now you have a huge zone for everybody to hang out at. Now we have some area that we can use for dining. Look at what this water feature area, it's just kind of a nice outdoor living room. But then on the side, this little tiny backyard side yard, we were able to do a kind of a whole nother dining area with an outdoor kitchen, and even put a dartboard in there for hanging out. Even if it's raining, you can be throwing darts. So this little backyard, very shallow depth, we packed it full of so much outdoor living. And one of the most popular projects that we've had on our portfolio for a long time is this one. Again, it's that freestanding structure as a destination. This one had a little bit more room in the backyard, but really what we were able to do is give them that freestanding structure with a fireplace. You had an outdoor kitchen and a bar on either side. You had a little pergola that attached the space, and then we just gave them so much outdoor living, including the fire pit there with the seat wall, and on the other side, the golf green. So again, just packing a backyard full of a lot of outdoor living, even in a smaller depth backyard. Such a common problem that you're probably dealing with is if you have a higher exit to your backyard. So if it's a little bit higher, you can't really step out onto hard surface. You have to pretty much do a deck. Look at what we were able to do in both these situations. We did a deck here, but we had a very small area for their outdoor living as they stepped out onto that deck. Did a very small kitchen, and then instead of doing a rail, we did a beautiful bar. It was a view bar that looked out over the river, it looked out over their koi pond, their fire pit, kind of their outdoor dining area. We did that deck that cantilevered over the koi pond, but it also had a beautiful view of the river right next to it. Spectacular use of space, spectacular use of the deck, by the way, on both situations, on the upper and on the lower deck. And look at this solution. They had a corner lot, they had no backyard, so they had to figure out a way to do everything in the front and side yard. Look at what we did here. We created a deck. Now, we created the upper deck, which also allowed them to have a space on the top and on the bottom because we waterproofed that deck. So they had a fire pit on the lower area, they had a beautiful dining and sitting area on the upper area, and we created the space that they needed just through a window. Take that problem that you have, you want outdoor living, and you have to just find a way to do it, like we did here with the covered structure in totally an unusable space prior. So another common problem is side yards. How do you landscape or have outdoor living on a side yard? Well, here we go. You want to first capture the attention from inside the house and grab it with the fireplace here. But if you look, we were 3 feet off of the neighbor there because that was a setback from the neighbor. So we had to kind of hide that with that privacy screen and with that living wall that kind of grew up there. And then we just did a hedge to kind of hide the fact of that setback. And then we were able to get that water feature in there. It's really pretty and it's attractive. It's gonna pull you out there. And the dining area and the outdoor kitchen. Packed all of this into that side yard and just gave some style there with the dinnerware, with the brighter colors. It's just gonna give you some oomph in that backyard space, and that's really what we did in the side yard. What are you going to do? What's the solution? Another side or a shared area is this one. This is right in downtown Portland area, and I love what we did here. We gave them a covered area for their outdoor kitchen, a very cool fire pit where we kind of built the seat wall right into the corner there on both sides. And then I love the little bar that we did right there by the post. Just took that dead space with the post, turned it into a little bar. That's gonna give you more outdoor space. But just the style of the space, very simple, but it's a very nice gathering place in a very unusable little backyard prior. One of the biggest problems people face is where to put their structure or how to build their structure for their backyard. Everybody wants a structure. Watch this video here. It's all of the 7 most common outdoor structures and what style would work for your backyard. Enjoy.